All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Grant Hubbard here with another Gutter Growth podcast. Today on the Gutter Growth podcast, I'm sitting down with Dale Caston, owner of Cyclops Gutter Services, and the man who literally walked across America. You heard that right. Dale took step after step, mile after mile across the entire country. I think we'll talk a little bit about what part you actually accomplished of your mission and how you set out to do that. What an inspiring story. But we're going to dive into that and talk about some grit, some leadership, and growing a business from the ground up. You know a lot about all of those things. Thanks for joining me today, Dale.
Yeah, you're very welcome, man. It's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So cool. Let's just dive right into it. You own Cyclops Gutter Services. Tell us a little bit about that business, how long you've been in business, and where you're located.
Well, so I guess to go back to the beginning of how I got into gutters, I was living in Colorado in 2020, and we got a bunch of us got laid off during COVID. And so I was reaching out to some friends back here in Texas. You know, I'm from Texas, so I was ready to come back home anyway. Anyway, I reached out to a friend of mine, and he said that they were hiring for a trainer in the leaf filter office in Austin. So anyway, I took the job, and I fell in love with gutters, man. I fell in love with it. And so I worked for them for about a year, and I started working on my own. I started making more money doing my side gig stuff, cleaning gutters. I partnered up with a friend of mine that had a gutter machine. So we partnered up, and anyway, I started making more money doing gutters on my own. So I ended up working for them, working for myself, and did it down in Austin till about the end of 2022. Missed home and decided to come back home and move my business and started doing it up here. I guess grow every feels like doing my thing here.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. So what part of you're in North Austin?
No, so now I'm in Tyler, Longview, northeast Texas area, right between Dallas and Shreveport.
That's right.
Pretty good sized market here, yeah.
We should have got together before I left the area, but I'm actually going to be back.
I know, dude. I know.
I'm going to have to come back. You know, half of our property is still there in Shirts, down south of New Braunfels at our house. So we'll have to make it back over there. You guys finally getting some rain over there or what?
Yeah, man. The past couple of weeks, we got a bunch of rain yesterday. There's a possibility of storms and stuff today. I'm on my cell phone signal right now, so I'm actually proud that this is working, man. I was worried about my internet still hasn't came back up. It's still down, but my cell phone signal seems to be working all right. But yeah, finally getting some rain. Thank God.
Yes.
We need it.
We start, the rainy season here in Florida can happen. I was sitting here in my office, which you can't see on the other side. I've got two really nice big windows in the second story.
Mm-hmm.
I can kind of oversee the neighborhood a little bit. And I saw the trees bending sideways, and I thought there was a hurricane coming. I hadn't heard about, but I was like, oh, that's right. Welcome back to midday hurricanes in Florida.
Yeah.
Right back to 80-degree weather. Let's talk about your walk. That's something I'd love to learn about. I know you must have had a lot of determination to do that. So you walked essentially across the United States. What was the specific miles? The news reporting says 500.
So the total mileage was right around 3,700 miles. Yeah. So I guess here's the most questions I get is how long it took. It took me from April the 1st until October 17th. This is back in 2014. I averaged 20 miles a day. It was about my average. Mm-hmm. The most miles I did in a 24-hour period was 40. I did 30 miles a day for 8 days in a row.
Wow.
So I wore out. This is another favorite question of mine: is how many shoes I wore out. And I wore out six and a half pairs of shoes. So
you said from April to August, essentially.
Yes, yeah.
And did you started and I know initially you were going to start in Delaware and
That's
end
where I
in San
started. Yes,
Francisco. So you did start in Delaware. Were you
I
living
did.
there at the time, or did you just travel there to start?
Okay, so back in, I guess, winter time of 2013, I was really frustrated with where my life was at. And so I was doing some work for people and they weren't paying me on time. And I was just really frustrated. And here in East Texas at that time, it seemed like the only thing to do was, to go to work in the oil field. Um, and there's a lot of control with that. But I'm a free spirit, man. That's just who I am. So I started reading about this guy walking across the country.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man, I think I could do that. I think I could do that. And I had a phone conversation with a friend, and she's like, yeah, Dale, you should totally do that. And so that was winter of 2013. And by the end of that night, I'm determined this is what I'm going to do. So I booked a plane flight for March 30th of 2014. And I'm going to do it. And doing the research, there's a trail called the American Discovery Trail.
Okay.
The American Discovery Trail links up a bunch of other trails all the way across the country, and that's a 5,000-mile trail. So anyway, I started out on that trail, and I wanted to get done in time, so I cut off the trail, went my own route. But anyway, that's how I found out about the trail. That's why how I chose Delaware. Ended in That's how I chose those particular spots, is just because of the American Discovery Trail and all the information that was available for that.
Basement flooding, roof leaks, mold.
No. I have to clean the gutters.
Go back to sleep, honey. We installed one gutter guard.
Prevent unexpected and costly damage from clogged gutters. Protect your home with one gutter guard, the trusted solution for gutter protection. Call us today to schedule your free gutter inspection and estimate.
I want to, I'm going to show a picture of you. I want you to maybe tell us, if that's all right. Tell us where.
Yeah.
I'm going to pull this up here. What period of time was this?
Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay.
The end.
Yeah. This was toward the end. This was, man, one of my favorite self photos I took of myself. It was
picture of you, dude.
There was this beautiful river that was running down some mountains in California, and that's where that picture was at. That's at the Strawberry. That's West Virginia. But yeah, that first picture with the beard, it was a river that was right as I got into California. So this was maybe 3 or 4 weeks towards the end. This was my favorite picture I took of me, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, you look so courageous, and I know you are to have done that, man. What a powerful picture. So let's talk about what was your motive.
Okay.
You on the free spirit. I get it. I'm going to take some control. I'm obviously going to have some time alone to really think, figure things out. Were you doing this for any cause or anything? Was there any charitable actions behind you? Was there any supporters, or was this kind of like, hey man, I'm all alone?
Well, a little bit of both. And so it was like hey, all of a sudden I'm on my own. I didn't have sponsors. I didn't have anything like that, right, as far as any backing goes. But I decided I was going to do it, and I determined hey, if I'm going to do this, I might as well try to raise some awareness to an organization that does a lot of good around the world, and all hands arts.
Oh, we lost you a little bit there.
And I'd never, and they don't take money from government and stuff like that. It's all based on donations. And I thought that was just a really awesome cause. And so I decided to dedicate my walk to that. I decided to walk. Yeah, that's what I wanted to. Natural disasters fascinate me too. I thought I wanted to be involved in a cause with something that fascinates me. I like if you're going to get involved in a cause, make it something that you're passionate about, because it helps you stay in it, for sure.
I'm going to share this picture of you here. I had looked at this story before me and you had ever spoken, probably even knew of each other. And that's why when January first brought you up to me, I think we were talking about you coming to the summit. I was like, I know who that is. Is this the same guy? I had to go in and do some research. This is my absolute favorite photo of you. And I want you to know that I find some pretty serious inspiration in this photo. It's very powerful. It speaks to me. Tell us a little bit about that particular day, if you remember it.
Yeah, I remember this day very well. So that was at the end of my walk. That was my final destination, Point Reyes National Seashore, just north of San Francisco.
Okay.
And I had made it to my spot. I made it the day before, I think. Anyway, there's a hostel and a campground up there. You see a car, I think, behind me. Anyway, so I walked up there so I could get to a Wi-Fi signal and message my people that was coming to pick me up. Anyway, at this hostel, there's this beautiful girl there. Her name is Lacey Badiz. And we had a conversation for a long time. And she's like, hey, I take pictures. I would like to take your picture if you're good with that. And that was the picture that she took.
No, that's
amazing. Yeah, I thought that was such a good picture too. Man, the hat, I had the hat the whole walk, so it's really weathered. I didn't shave the entire time, so this is probably the pinnacle of like the roughest I looked. That was it,
time here.
Yeah. That was at the very end. That was a lot of weather. I was very weathered in that picture for sure. Wore out.
I think something you speak on right here, it says, don't ever forget that you're not alone. Millions of people are going through what you are. Tell me a little bit about that was May 31st when you put that. You're obviously at this time, about a month and a half or two in, and your mind's got to be racing. What are you thinking about at this time?
Well, before this walk, I'd been through a lot of stuff, and this is before like social media was a thing, back in the early 2010s and stuff. It hadn't picked up a lot of steam. And so going through all the stuff I was going through, I felt so alone, but once I started, social media started coming out and you start reaching out to people and you start talking to other people and you realize that you're not alone. There's thousands, millions of people going through maybe almost exactly what you're going through. And so I just think it's real important, like that song I was referring to, a song called Raise Your Hand in that post. And so if you just raise your hand and try to ask for help, reach out to people, there's a lot of people that's going through the exact same things you're going through or has already gone through it. It may help provide you some steps to help you with your journey. So that's what that was about. The world anymore,
Day to day, like, how'd you keep it going? Obviously, as a business owner, we're going to start talking about that a little bit, but I have a couple more questions about the walk.
Yeah.
What do you remember a specific time when you were like that close to giving up and you knew you were going to, you probably were done? What pushed you or who pushed you? And how did you reach out, if that's how that went? Like what made you want to quit? And I guess who helped you keep going, or how did you fall into their graces, or that conversation?
Well, man, in my ignorance, I thought, this is walking. I've been walking my whole life. At this point I was 34. So I've been walking for 34 years. How hard can it be? So I didn't really prepare a whole lot. And so I just kind of left and started doing it. Well, my dumb self, the first day wasn't too bad. Second day was pretty rough. Third day, it was hard to stand up. By the fourth day, I could barely move my legs, I couldn't hardly bend my knees. And I thought, what? I'm in Delaware. I'm just started. How can I stop already? I've only gone 100 miles. There's no way. I can do this. And so anyway, I talked to the Delaware coordinator. Her name is Serinda. And Serinda was like, Dale, if you get to this guy's house, his name's Mac. Mac is very nice to these hikers. He sees people doing this all the time. He'll let you stay at his house. So anyway, I got to Mac's house. I felt like I crawled my way to Mac's, and I got there and I talked to him. He's like, listen, Dale, you can stay here, for a day or two. That's fine. You can rest up. And he let me stay in his camper. Well, he ended up letting me stay there for 4 days. Met his whole family. Ended up going to dirt track races with them.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And talking to him and his family, they were like, Dale, I met a lot of these hikers, and I just feel like you're going to be the one to make it. And this dude was like 80 years old, super cool dude. And it just inspired me, like, man, he's right. I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. And I just kept going, If I got tired, I'd rest as I needed it, and I just realized that, hey, if you get tired, it's okay to rest, dude. It's okay to rest. You need to rest. Like, don't feel bad about having to take a day off.
I think that's so important.
Yes.
Knowing your limits, knowing your threshold, and understanding that you might have to retreat just for a minute.
Yeah.
Right. But that can be a good moment of growth, whether it's, spiritually, mentally, physically, right? We get some rest. And it's so important as owner operators of businesses, our small businesses, when we start to get overwhelmed, that we get rid of the thoughts of quitting, but it's okay to let those thoughts of resting or resetting, or even sometimes redefining our goals, right?
Yes.
Sometimes our goals are really lofty. Like, you might wake up one day and say, I'm going to walk across the United States. I don't know who does that, but you do that. And you did it. And I'm sure that there was a lot of pushing yourself. How does that equate into, I know you've had to do some serious pushing of yourself in your business over the past year or two, as I've gotten to know you and understand some of the things that you're frustrated with, or things that you want to do a little bit better or invest in more in your business. Is it the same mental toughness? Something physical, like, extreme exercise, hiking, mountain. My dad is an avid bike rider. We're talking 50 to 100 miles when he rides. He's currently riding across France right now with his wife.
That's cool.
I don't push myself. I remember, Sean Michael Crane, you remember at the summit, that guy's an amazing physique. And then there's you, who did something that like no percentage of the population is doing. Is it the same switch? Hey, I'm going to walk 25 miles today. This is like, I don't have any work. I'm going to go put out 40 signs, or is it a different switch?
No, it's the same switch. It really is the same switch. It's just a different, it's the same switch. I find that in me to where it's like, damn, dude, this is a slow moment right now. I know I can do this. I may not be able to go out and sell a job. I may not be able to walk my 25 miles a day. I may not be able to do that, but I know that I can do this. I know that I can walk 10. I know that I can get up and go put out signs. I can do something, whether it's whatever it is, man. I learned that once you get momentum, if you stop trying to do something, it's so hard to get momentum back. Yeah. So if you've got it, keep it going. If you're already walking miles a day, then all right, well, let's keep it going. Let's put signs out. Let's do something. I'm already awake. What can I do to make it just a little bit better today than it was yesterday? And whether that's walking half the miles you planned on doing, or whether that's putting out some signs, or whatever it is, you've got to just do something to move forward.
I think you hit the nail on the head with keeping the momentum. I find that I'm running a bunch of different businesses right now. We're getting to ramp back up for the summit again. Last year, me and the partners put that thing together, kind of in our spare time. And then it turned into like full blown, oh my gosh, this is a lot of work. All these little nooks and crannies we didn't really plan on. And I think we executed really well, but now we're preparing even earlier.
Right.
Like you said, you have to do something. I'm already awake. But man, there's these moments, especially like when you go on vacation, or I remember I got COVID twice during COVID, and it took me back, 12, 13, 14 days.
Yeah.
And as soon as you start feeling alive again, the first thing you want to do is not go back to work. And so I remember both of those spouts like turning into 20, 25, 30 days because it took so much to build the momentum again, right?
Yes.
And a lot of people, I think, let those moments turn into sometime months or years.
Yes.
Versus, just the extra couple weeks or two of taking some time. So
absolutely.
I think there's no better person to ask than you because it was those probably you flew, I take it, to Delaware to start this, or did you drive?
Yeah, no, I flew.
Right?
I flew to Delaware, and the Delaware coordinator, I mentioned her name earlier, Serinda, they came and picked me up from the airport. And I stayed at their house for a day or two, and then she dropped me off at the beach. So yeah, I flew to Delaware and had somebody come pick me up. Yes.
What was that moment like? That's probably a very surreal moment. Once they dropped you off, I'm sure everybody waved by, or maybe they stood from a distance to watch you take your first steps. If you could give someone some advice that is stuck at the starting line, the first question, part A of this was, did you feel stuck when it was like, here we go, or were you really excited and you just took off walking?
Man, so honestly, I was just excited and took off walking. I feel like that first step is easy.
Okay.
I really do. Because when you're excited about something, you want to go.
Yes.
You want to just go. It's easy just to take that first step. Once you take the first step, it's easy to go. I know it sounds kind of different, like a lot of times you say taking that first step is the hardest step. And I understand that too, but when you're excited about something and you're standing there at the start line, you are so anxious just to take that first step and just to go. For me, it was the trick as like 3 or 4 days in, when you've already taken the steps and you look back and when you're looking ahead you see your goal and you look back and see where you started and you're just like, oh my God, I'm that far from the start line, but I'm this far from the finish line.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, how do I stay motivated in that moment?
There's levels. There's levels to it, right? In that first step, some people would say the first step was even, I think you said it was October or something the year before when you decided you were going to do this.
Yeah.
That was the first step, really.
Yeah.
Did you have moments of wavering then when you were like, I'm really going to do it, or I don't think, or someone would talk you out of it, Dale, this is crazy. How are you going to be able to afford to do it or whatever?
Yes. All that. Yes. I got all that. My mom was terrified. My grandma was terrified. Like, there were most people in my family and my circle, they're like, oh, dude.
So this is what I found.
Okay, so you're telling me my clogged gutters caused all this? I had no idea.
Yeah, unfortunately, most homeowners don't think about their gutters until this kind of stuff happens.
Wow.
Prevent unexpected and costly damage from clogged gutters. Protect your home with One Gutter Guard, the trusted solution for gutter protection. Call us today to find out why more homeowners are choosing One Gutter Guard.
And so, yeah. So fighting through the doubters and like, that was tough. I just had to stick to my guns. Like, this is what I am going to do for me, not for you, not for you, not for y'all, but I'm doing this for me. And so I had to learn how to be selfish too. I had to learn how to be a little bit selfish, and so it was tough. But yeah, fighting through the doubters, that was really hard, man. That was really tough to do.
I think that's a good point right there. A lot of people, especially when they're starting their small business, maybe at a very young age, and they're telling their spouse, that they're going to spend the last little bit of money on a truck or a machine or, whatever industry.
Yeah.
And, although they want to support you, it's like, yeah, I think that's like a great idea. And you're like taking your last couple of $1,000 and doing something, or as we get older and maybe we want to quit our full-time job and go off and, either it's us doubting ourselves or it's the people around us,
Yeah.
What was like the key to you tuning that out and saying, well, I think you said you had to be a little bit selfish. We have to some point in time believe in ourselves so much when no one else will. And then we cross this barrier with ourselves where we now know that the unknown can be known and the undoable can be doable. And to what limit can we take this, right?
Yeah.
So you did that and you came out, and then, many years later you started the gutter business.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you at now with your gutter business? I think you in your fourth year?
So I'm in my, I guess I'm in my fourth year.
Okay.
I started doing it in 2021 down in Austin. So, but I'm going into my third year in the Tyler area.
Okay.
So I'm going into my third year here in the Tyler, East Texas area.
What are you finding to be the most difficult just about this part of your particular journey in life with your business?
Well, so I feel like right now I've plateaued. I'm at a certain point, but I can see that there's another level to that. And I've got to daily push myself to get to that next level. Because I'm comfortable where I'm at. Like, I'm really comfortable. I like where I'm at. I make decent money. Yep. There's no stress involved. But however, in saying that, at this plateau, I want to go to the next level because I would like to bring other people with me.
There you go.
And I can't bring other people with me if I'm stuck here. So in order to do that, I got to get up here. So it's just hard to keep that motivation whenever it's just me. So what I've done is I've brought in some people to help me out. I got somebody to help me out with sales. I have an installer that's helping me out. And so now that I've taken on that responsibility, it forces me like, hey, now these people are depending on me.
Yeah.
If it's just me, like, dude, I'm fine with where I'm at. I'm fine at $200K a year. Like, I'm good. That's not bad money for one person. But but man, we can do much bigger than that. I can support people. There's families that can be helped if I work hard. So that pushes me to the next level. I think bringing other people involved and along with you will help, push you to keep you going forward.
Yeah, it's going to create an accountability from you to them. And then the other part that's really cool that we don't speak on a lot, but happens naturally, is you start to create this culture within your business with the sales guy and the installers, and they start to network with you as well, right? And so now they're at their dinner table talking about Cyclops. They're at the hardware store or wherever, wearing the logo, and it can just start to help grow the business, and they can play either a small part in that or a big role in that, depending on what the vision is casted down from you.
Yeah. It's cool to see these people posting on their Facebook pages and stuff. Hey, if you need gutters, give me a call. I think that's really cool, man. Like, I've got a lot of people thinking about it, that weren't thinking about it before. Just like friends that know me, like, dude, hey man, call this guy. I was just talking to him. They're going to reach out to you.
And it's because of your consistency. Would you agree? You're staying consistent, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Some of that growth over this past year where you're just doing some new things, like your trifold sign that you're putting out. It's all these little things that are creating brand awareness in the local community. And now you have more people helping you with that. It becomes a big team effort. And more success can happen from the team than from the eye, right?
Absolutely. 100%. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe some people watching this will be wondering where I got that name from. So I have a glass eye. Yeah, I have a glass eye. When I was 7, me and my brother were playing He-Man and Skeletor. Anyway, he hit me in the stick with the eye, and the doctor recommended to them remove it and me get a prosthetic eye. So that's what they did. Anyway, I had friends in high school calling me Cyclops. X-Men was getting real popular, so I kind of went with it, Cyclops Gutter Service, an eye for detail. That's the slogan.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to go back to the walk briefly. A question.
Yeah.
Did anybody step in? So what was that? You said that was about sounds like a 6 month.
It was 8. I believe it was closer to 8 months.
8 months. Did anybody step in and walk with you? So obviously this started, and then it got some national coverage that you were doing this. So did any other walkers or anybody come say they wanted to walk with you for a few days or a week, or was this like totally by yourself?
Dude, so for the most part, it was mostly by myself. Now in West Virginia, I ran into another person walking across the country, and we walked together for a couple of days. There was another person that heard about what I was doing, and we walked for a few miles in Utah, I believe.
They came out and got you for a few miles and a couple pictures or whatever.
Yeah, that was it. And then like, all right, have fun, and I'm back on my own, like, all right.
They use you for clout, right?
Yeah, I guess so. But I'd say for the most part, I was on my own. I did run into a few people. I ran into a group of people. They were walking the other way from California to DC. There was like 40 of them. There was a lot of people. I can't remember what they were doing it for, but now, man, for the most part, I was by myself. Now I say that, but I did have some people mail me things. Yeah, you can mail stuff. Yeah, I had mail me packages, and they would just hold it at the post office till I got there. Mm-hmm. I had quite a few people do that, and that was really cool. One person said they felt like that they were my sponsors from the Hunger Games. They're like, I feel like I'm a Hunger Games sponsor. So that was cool.
I'm wondering, last year you were at the summit. I was exhausted. I'm full of excuses. I was exhausted, and I knew. Were you able to do the walk? I don't know. What they do a run? They did a run, right? I think.
No, I didn't do that. I don't jog. Right? I can walk. I can walk for miles and miles and miles, but I hate jogging, running. I don't do that. I don't jog and run, man. I will walk though.
Speaking of the summit, thank you for joining us last year. Do you want to share anything about that event? Do you think it went well? Would you do it again?
Absolutely. Yeah. I plan on being back again this year. Cool. Man, I just felt so encouraged, you get used to doing what you're doing back home and on your own. You kind of get in your own little groove. Mm-hmm. So it's so good though to network and be around other people that are in your industry. I think that are doing as well or better than yourself, because there's such an opportunity to learn. Yeah. When I started doing gutters, I didn't realize that there were gutter companies doing $2, $3, $4, $5 million a year plus. I had no idea. I didn't know that. So to be around a group of guys that is doing that in their business, like, man, that's such an opportunity to learn, to get encouraged. Like, okay, well, how do you go from $250,000 to $1 million? Well, there's guys at this gutter summit that can teach you, and that's more than happy to help you along that journey. So I think, yes. So going to that Gutter Growth Summit, man, that was great.
It's really powerful seeing those guys. We often speak of one of our members, but there's several. But I like using Elmer, who was in Indiana, and in 2023, he did 300,000 or so. Yeah. And then, he got into the program. He did a lot of things, a ton of education. Mm-hmm. He's a very disciplined young gentleman, him and his brother, and they're going to have a world of success. But, I know they did, I want to say $1.5 million last year.
Yeah.
And it starts from all that work he's putting in, all the networking. And, I know he's going around the country. He came and visited out to Texas when I was out there in Austin. Yeah. And it's all about, like you said, understanding, like you admitted, hey, I'm at a plateau, but knowing there's something more, just like your walk. Yeah. okay, I'm tired, but I've got to make it to this post office, right? I've
Yes.
got a certain goal.
Yes.
And you're working through that. I'm really proud of seeing what you're doing, man. I'm excited for the next big level for you.
Thanks, dude. Appreciate it.
Talk a little bit, just to wrap up here. How are you feeling about 2024? How it started off, and how do you think it's going to end for you?
Man, so it started off really rough, dude. This is a really rough start to a year. I got rear-ended in my truck by uninsured motorists, so I had to deal with that. I was still doing a lot of work. For Leaf Filter here during the slow months, man. It's a great way to to lean in, to have money coming in. Yep. Some stuff happened with a contractor I was doing the work through, so that work dried up. I had to redo all my insurance stuff.
Yep.
And so I didn't work for like 3 weeks. The end of January, my mom ended up passing away from a stroke that just happened out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And so it was just like, and it's winter, so it's already slow. So I was just like, man, what do I do? What do I do? And I just kind of leaned into myself, how would my mother want me to respond to this situation? Well, she would want me to pick my ass up, dust myself off, and keep going. So I got even more committed to putting out signs, after that. And I took some time, just to kind of be by myself too. And,
yeah, of course.
So I did all that, and but I kept going forward, man. I just kept going. I didn't stop. And that kind of showed me that it just reiterated, like, yes, there's challenges, man. There's always going to be a challenge, but how do you face it? I've been saying your character is not defined by the stuff that happens to you. It's defined by your reactions to it.
Yeah.
So how am I going to react to this? How is my character going to be defined by my reactions? But dude, let's pick myself up. Let's go keep putting out signs.
Yep.
Let's keep networking. Let's keep, doing all the things that's brought me to here.
Mm-hmm.
And that really helped out a lot, man. It really gave me a lot of encouragement that, yes, even though I'm still going to come through challenges, I can still work my way through it.
Yeah.
Hard work and determination it pulled me out of it. So I built up a lot of momentum through all that. And I'm getting a lot more phone calls because of the momentum I built up. I'm getting more people reaching out through my website.
Yeah.
So the momentum is really starting to pick up, and I can see that continuing to keep going more and more through 2025. So, man, I'd like to see this year do 400K. I don't see any reason why I can't, man. I really don't. April, I just got my financials back in April, and it was an $18,000 month. So like, dude, let's go. Let's go, man. Let's go. It's exciting, dude.
The team, it's you. I saw a video of you the other day. I love that you're sharing more. You're sharing.
Yeah.
And you were out with your team, just like anybody else. Mistake happened. You shared it with the world. You had a smile on your face. I was like, man, I could totally work for Dale. I love the way you handled the situation. It's just like I would. You have a quick little learning moment probably with your guys. Hey, let's change up the way we're doing something. Let's get this fixed. Let's move on. Keep the customer happy.
Yeah.
Big momentum crash where the boss is screaming and yelling at people. And in fact, you did the opposite. You showed the world your strength. Again, I just want to thank you so much for coming on today and sharing.
Hey, thank you.
Do you have anything big coming up for you that you want to share? Just here, maybe you're thinking of the next year or two. What are you walking towards now?
Man, what am I walking towards now, man? I'm walking towards, I'd say, the next 5 years. I want to build this business up to where I can either step away entirely or to sell it. And so that's what I'm really working towards. I'm in my mid 40s, dude. I love doing what I do. I love installing gutters. I get a huge kick out of it. I love it. But I have to be honest with myself. My body isn't going to allow me to climb ladders. It's just eventually at some point, it's not going to let me. So after the summit last year and visiting with other folks in the gutter industry, I know now that you can build a gutter business to sell or to step away from. And so I didn't really realize that. So now I'm determined to build it to where I can step away from it, in the next 5 years or so, and maybe go do another journey. I want to go explore the world.
That's what I was going to ask. Or do you see yourself, okay, you get yourself where you want to be financially? Would you ever walk across the United States again the other way, or is it going to be another country, or what were your thoughts with that?
Yeah, man. So there's some international trails I'd like to do. I'd like to go see Machu Picchu. Okay. And I've never been to South America, so I'd like to go see that. The Camino de Santiago is a really popular trail in Europe.
Yeah.
And man, I'd really like to see about walking as much as I could of the Great Wall of China.
Wow.
Something about that is calling me, man. It's calling me, and I don't know why. I don't know what that's about, but I want to go explore that. I think that would be amazing.
Well, yeah. I'd love to help and support you any way possible in you getting your business built up to run itself or to sell. Yeah. Let's make sure, as always, let's stay in touch, open line of communication. I've got your back, and let's get you over there walking that Great Wall, brother.
Thanks, Grant. I appreciate that, buddy.
Hey, absolutely. Also, lastly, I believe your birthday's tomorrow, so I want to be the first to say happy birthday.
Oh, thanks.
How old are you going to be?
45, bud. 45. Oh, 45. 45. Yeah.
Well, here's to wishing you an awesome day tomorrow, brother. And thank you so much for spending some time with me today and our viewers. We appreciate the words of encouragement, and we'll see you again next time.
Thanks, Grant. Appreciate you, buddy.
Take care.
Yes, sir. You too.